family. My family's here. And my best friend. Both of them. Yeah, I'm Jason. So what I'll be reading from is sort of this the book that's coming out from Publication Studio is like my fiction work, and then this sort of vein that I'm working in for this particular thing is something that's completely different. So this just seems to work better. I don't know if you guys ever see novelists read from their book live, but to me, it's extremely boring. And then also as a novelist, I don't want to ever read from my book in front of people because it's like, that's what I wrote the whole book for. So it's cooler to read this stuff because it's really fun and it's sort of active, and I can just read one part of it and everyone will get it, and you won't be like wondering what happens to the wolves. So I'm bringing together Wittgenstein and Thich Hanh. I don't exactly know how to say his name. Thich Hanh, I guess I'll just read this. He's a Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk, and he's an internationally known author, poet, scholar. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King Jr. I actually didn't know that. That's pretty awesome. And then also Wittgenstein. So I would say so Wittgenstein was I think he was is he Austrian or German? Austrian? German? One of the two. What's the difference? Sorry. Austrian. Wittgenstein was a philosopher, and I actually have a philosophy degree, but at UC Santa Cruz, for some reason, they never had us study Wittgenstein. And then all of a sudden, as I got older and started writing, Wittgenstein became really important to like language and all these things. And I'm like, why did I never know about Wittgenstein? And then Miranda Mellis actually had me read some of his work, and it blew me away. And then I live in Oakland, and I was trying to look for a Wittgenstein book because I had some of his stuff on PDF. And but I'm old school, I don't like to read on the computer. And like, out of 5 bookstores near where I live, they had nothing except for this crazy thing, the blue and brown books. I don't know, but it's a preliminary study of the philosophical investigations, which is one of his major works. And so how I'm bringing these two together, I would say is like Thich Hanh is sort of in my heart, and so that's going to be driving the sort of theme of the work that I'll be reading. And Wittgenstein, he kind of has this really crazy style where he's going to explain every detail of his philosophy to you. So, I think I'll read Wittgenstein first to give you an idea. It's a really old book. Are people already familiar with Wittgenstein, or is this... Okay. So this is, I think, from the Brown book. 1. Do we have a feeling for familiarity whenever we look at familiar objects, or do we have it usually? When do we actually have it? It helps us to ask, what do we contrast the feeling of familiarity with? One thing we contrast it with is surprise. One could say, unfamiliarity is much more of an experience than familiarity. We say, A shows B a series of objects. B is to tell A whether the object is familiar to him or not. A, the question may be, does B know what the objects are? Or B, does he recognize a particular object? So it's kind of like that for 180 pages.
The juice of the philosopher.
Yes. I don't know if Pilsner is a really good way to make your mouth not dry. Sorry if I appear nervous. I'm not used to reading. So this is from True Love by Thich, Hanh. And I don't always agree with everything that Thich Hanh has to say, but sometimes, maybe like 90% of it that I do agree with. But just the way that he can, I feel like the world is really complicated and you try to understand it and try to make sense of it and then write it down. I get really like, I can't just find the truth, and I want it to be simple. And then he'll just say stuff that is just like, noun, verb, and then like, oh my God, it's the truth. So I think it's just saying things simply is usually the best way. So this is just a very brief part. Do you have enough time to love? Can you make sure that in your everyday life you have a little time to love? We do not have much time together. We are too busy. In the morning while eating breakfast, we do not look at the person we love. We do not have enough time for it. We eat very quickly while thinking about other things, and sometimes we even hold a newspaper that hides the face of the person we love. In the evening when we come home, we are too tired to be able to look at the person we love. We must bring about a revolution in our way of living our everyday lives, because our happiness, our lives, are within ourselves.
Truth.
So in that vein, so it doesn't really have a title. And I really appreciate being invited to do this and being given the opportunity to write in this sort of vein that I usually don't write in. I'm kind of committed to being a novelist, so it's just fun to work in this capacity. So what I'm going to read to you now is not really what I usually do. So this is like really fun for me. Okay. An essay on being good and right and true in regard to the familiarity we all have, each and every one of us, to our brothers and sisters and all living things, sometimes unliving things, on the planet Earth. That is the sound of the brain heart, which is our heart and our brain, a combined organ thriving in the center of the human body, and also at the center of other bodies, like small kitten, like small dog, like orca that kills other small things to continue its existence. In another essay, I explain more thoroughly the brain heart, and why it is the name I call humans, or rather is what humans have that make them feel, think, do, and equally important, makes them a part of the universe. So you will have to accept preliminarily that humans are brain hearts. We are brain hearts. Please make the vibe sound, if this you can accept. Go like this. Now we're all vibing together. It is impossible to exist in the Bay Area of California and the United States of America, everywhere, without having knowledge of the suffering and sadness which also exist around us, and not around us, but in other parts of California, in other parts of the USA, and other parts of the earth. I am saddened by this suffering and sadness at times. It seems the amount of suffering outweighs the opposite of suffering. I call it the opposite of suffering because it seems that wherever suffering exists, it negates its opposite. And in that negation, the opposite loses its title, its name. Have you asked yourself these questions? How can I eat when others are hungry? How can I laugh when others are crying? How can I live when others are dying? My brain heart, The thing I call humans, or the thing that makes me a human, my brain heart suffers from others suffering, from others dying, from others being or not being in the way that they wish to be. There have been several answers to this realization: to ignore it and carry on as if it does not exist, to accept that suffering is part of life on earth, to accept that there is nothing a brain heart can do about this suffering, and to even address it, risk the continued thriving of the brain heart. Indeed, are there not brain hearts who have succumbed to the knowledge of the suffering of others? I ask myself this question: how do I continue living? How do I do the things I do? How do I accept what I find unacceptable? It is unacceptable to me that another brain heart go without food, without clothing, without shelter, without enough liberty to live unmolested, unthreatened, uninhibited by other brain hearts and collection of brain hearts who happen to have been given more power by other collections of brain hearts. These realities are unacceptable to me, and yet I do accept them. Or I do not, but then I am forced to accept the reality by the inefficiencies of the brain heart and its corresponding physical body. For I cannot create food of my body. I cannot create clothing of my body. I cannot create shelter of my body. I cannot create liberty of my body. Yet that is why I'm here today, because these realities are unacceptable to me, and I must find a way to make them unacceptable to the realities of the world. The world has not rejected these realities. Other brain hearts have not rejected these realities. I see now that my observation of this phenomenon had been mostly negative. What can we brain hearts do? The largest, biggest, most helpful, beautiful thing a brain heart can do is to love. The very sound of the brain heart, the vibes, is the sound of love, the sound of a brain heart singing, a possibly percussive sound made by the brain heart in their body. We are buzzing and vibrating with love, all of us. I've never met a person who has not loved. The other brain heart, which another brain heart will feel vibes for, is called the one. I've also written an earlier essay all about the one, so for the sake of time, please accept that reality of the brain heart. The one is the one the brain heart loves. And it can be all things, or anything, or just one thing, or it can be many things at different times, or different things at one time, and all of these possible permutations. But whenever the brain heart feels the vibes, it is the one which receives and then retransmits those vibes. I believe in the very nature of the brain heart and its capacity to love. The one is how we can ask the world. I read that totally wrong, sorry. I believe in the very nature of the brain heart and its capacity to love. The one is how we can ask the world to no longer accept the realities of the world, which I do not accept, and I hope others do not accept either. It is easy to say, love your fellow brain hearts, and then hope that suffering on the planet Earth will no longer exist. It is so easy, I've just said it, and wished it knowing full well my saying of the thing will have no practical impact on the suffering of the world. You see this leap we must take, that I want to take, that I hope you will take with me. Leaps are often taken by thinkers and writers and philosophers. We must transition to the thing we hope for, because there is no physical path to what we desire. Yet what if it was not a leap? What if the leap was over a physical and material space? For there are enumerated actions other brain hearts have designed to alleviate the suffering of the world, yet that suffering persists despite our collective action, despite our desire. For it to no longer persist, why are our actions having an inadequate effect? I believe our physical actions have been right and true, and often the best example of the power of the collective brain heart. What I will now say, I'm sure, has been said many times over, but it must be repeated until every last brain heart understands the truth of what is being said. We are and we are not individual brain hearts when we love the one we love, which is called the one, the thing which brain hearts love. We love the one as an other, and as a being outside of our physical domain, we also love the one as ourself, as a part of our brain heart. In fact, an individual brain heart cannot exist without the corresponding other, which is called the one. We are always loving and vibing and buzzing away. It is integral to our existence. We so much want to love and make it part of ourselves that we seek it out almost everywhere we go, at all times, in romance, in brotherhood, in sisterhood, in fellowship, in solidarity, in arms. Everywhere we are seeking the one and allowing it to sustain our brain hearts. So you see, there is no leap to make there. There is no logical misstep between desiring the end of suffering and actualizing this reality. This is a simple task for the brain heart. Okay. Please take the hand of the person nearest to you, either in physical space or in mental space. Since I'm up here alone, I will imagine a family member who I love but who is no longer alive on this planet. I will take her hand in my mind, and you can take your person by the hand in your mind, or you can take the real hand of the real brain heart nearest to you. Please indulge me in this task. We are here together, and we are here with every other brain heart in this universe. Other humans who are brain hearts, and animals, and plants, which I've only recently discovered have the capacity of a brain heart as well. We are all here together, and we are here together because we cannot exist without each other, brain heart. We vibe together because that is what we are, what sustains us in this life on this planet. And so we cannot accept the suffering of the world because then we would be suffering, and we do suffer. But we do not need to suffer because we are here together. We are alive together. We are vibing together. And I ask that we promise to each other now that we will not accept the suffering of those around us, that we attempt to alleviate that suffering at all times, that we will not accept the persistence of suffering. We will not inflict suffering on other brain hearts, because then we too would be suffering. I ask that we promise ourselves this together, that we will make every effort to end the suffering of the brain hearts around us, because it is the very nature of existence to love the one, and the one is the other, and the one is the brain heart, the thing which I call humans, and the thing which humans have. A hand is held in your hand, a part of your physical body. Make a promise to this hand, and to the hand of your body, that you will love the one. Say this in your mind to the one, or out loud if you want, or the hand, or to your brain heart in your mind. Tell us all, I love you. I will love you. I have always loved you. I will continue to love you. I will love you. I love you. I will love you. I have always loved you. I will continue to love you. I love you. I will love you. I have always loved you. I will continue to love you. I love you. I will love you. I have always loved you. I will continue to love you.